and this is the inner critic in me, and I think it's important to have a little bit of inner critic to a certain degree so you can become a better person. Because I'm a big picture person and I'm a dreamer, and I would always look at the end goal. The way I lived my life at that time when I was raising them, and then I became a single mother because their father and I divorced. And I was always, you know, like the way that I did things was really like almost
regimental,
regimented, you know, because I had to keep the house running. I'd leave the house at 7, I'd come back at 6. I was the one cooking dinner most times.
Single motherhood, the life of single motherhood.
And yes, my sister was there for some of that time, and she certainly helped out. But it was also really challenging in that you're always focused on the next thing, and you miss a lot.
I think that's very true. You do.
I missed a lot, Tania, and you don't get that time back.
No, you don't.
And that makes me sad when I think about that. It does, because especially when my son was getting ready to go to the Australian Institute and to, you know, represent Australia and then go on, because I was working, because I was studying, because I was focused on paying the bills and feeding them, I missed a lot.
Yep. And if you could turn back time, that's the thing you would do differently.
I would be present, because that's why the presence is a gift. It's being present.
But at that time too, like, you know, I think I may have done that sometimes as well. You were doing the best that you could at the time. But now if you could rewind the clock, you would definitely, like you said, want to be more present. But you were doing the best you could, Therese. You know, there was nothing else you could do. That's what you had to do. It was almost like a survival mode. You know, well, it is survival mode.
I was on autopilot, you know. I was on autopilot. And so you just got, when you're on autopilot and you know you're the only one that's working, you're the one that has to take care of everything, it becomes really challenging, you know.
Because then the exhaustion sits in as well.
Yeah, I mean,
you want to sleep.
We would always have dinner together at the dinner table. We would always sit down to dinner at 6 o'clock. We would have dinner. Dinner was done by 8. 8:30 I was in bed, and
repeat,
I'd be out
all over again.
And look, it was good because it taught them how to be in a routine and get things done. And I was a very affectionate mother. Oftentimes the two of them would jump into my bed and say, can we sleep with you? And I was always very affectionate, always have been, because that's our culture. But I think I missed a lot because I was in that mode. And so what my husband has taught me to do now is to enjoy the journey.
Yeah, and be in the moment.
Be in the moment.
Yeah.
You know? And this is just me being the inner critic of myself. And I think it's important to do that, you know? Shut all the noise out and ask what you could do better now. Like when people say to me, what advice would you give as a parent? You know, that's probably the biggest advice I could give. The first one is figure out the kind of mother that you want to be and be that.
And there's no cookie cutter for that either.
There isn't. And the second one is be present.
Yeah. Be present's a big one.
It's the most fundamental principle you can teach, and it's very, very spiritual. It's very esoteric. The fact that I'm here with you now and I'm present with you, you know that because I'm not thinking about anything else.
That's right. We're having this conversation.
I'm not focused on anything else. I'm here with you. I'm giving you all my energy. I'm giving you everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I was like that all the time. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the critic in me looks back and goes, maybe I could have done that better.
Yeah.
Maybe I could have done this better. I mean, I was definitely present for every auspicious occasion that they had in their life.
But there were some things you missed out because mentally
I was exhausted.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we all at some point have experienced. I mean, some people have the, you know, opportunity of, like you said, that aren't single mums, maybe have that little bit of respite. They can be fresh and be present, you know, 80% of the time. But for those that don't have support, like you said, you know, we didn't have a lot of support. The exhaustion kicks in, so you do miss some things. But like your younger self, definitely. But I guess we can experience those things that we missed with our grandchildren.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. And I know they're going to be, both of them will be absolutely wonderful parents. And I'll be a wonderful grandmother.
Yes, you will be.
Mon chéri, I said. That's what I want to be called, the mon chéri.
Yep,
my darling,
chérie,
my darling.
Not a grandma.
No.
Of course not, Therese. You can be called a grandmother.
No, God, no.
No, God, no.
But I just think, you know, I just always feel blessed that, because they're just so beautiful to be around, and they're so funny, and they're so creative. And I mean, you know, that's really what I've learned. And as they continue to grow and continue to evolve, I continue to be open and learning, and I allow them that space where they can give me that. The one thing I did that my mother never did, because she was a perfectionist, and because of our culture too, was I always acknowledged if I made a mistake. Because what that teaches your children is that we're not perfect, and it allows them to make mistakes and know that they can work through it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point, the whole mistake thing, because I felt that, you know, I always had to be perfect. You know, growing up in family business, you know, as a parent, you know, just constantly be perfect, you know, and that it was shameful if you made a mistake. You had to fix it, you know, so it was like pressure. And so, but with Dakota, I always say, you know, you've got to make mistakes. That's how you learn from them.
Yeah.
But the mistake thing's a big one.
It's huge, because I know when I remember how I felt when you know, if a mistake was made towards me from my mother, and I love my mother. I was so in love with her, and I suffered tremendously after she died. But whenever she would make a mistake, she would never say, "I'm sorry." And what that taught me was that my feelings didn't matter to her. And she didn't mean that, obviously. That's just how she was raised. She never meant that. I know she never meant that. I know how much my mother loved us. I know how much she was
just
devoted.
Didn't know how to express it.
She didn't know how to express it. But with my children, I would be the first to say, "I'm sorry. Can you forgive me?" And give them that space of knowing that your feelings are as equally important to me. Yeah. Because that lets them know that their feelings are
very important. That's right. Yeah.
Which is so important for parents to do, I think. Any parent, regardless of what your parenting style is. I just think it's really important. And just to listen. Like I said, oftentimes we think we're teaching them, but they're actually teaching us, you know?
I feel they teach us all the time. And I would say, me as a mother, I do listen, but there are multiple times I don't think I'm always listening. And then I have to like check in with myself and be like, oh, okay, I better listen now, you know, because you know, can't be 100% attentive all the time, but, you know, do my best at 80%.
Yep.
But yeah, mistakes. But growing up in my household, a mistake is like.
Oh, you didn't make mistakes in my mother's household. You just didn't, which is very difficult. But anyway.
Yeah. And that's where also, you know, felt the pressure of having to be perfect, you know, because I think we're, you know, imperfectly perfect.
I love that.
You know, that's what we are.
I say that all the time. I do. The perfection lies in being imperfect. Because
absolutely,
that's where it's warts and all your nuances. Yeah. You know, are at play.
Yeah. So flawed. I always say to Dakota, I am so flawed.
Yeah, perfectly flawed. And I think that that's the best thing that we can teach them. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I think that, you know, they would, if you asked either one of them, you know, what style of mothering was your mum, they'd probably say
strict.
She was strict.
She was the military.
Well, it wasn't, because military means that they're kind of void of emotion. So I wasn't military, but I was organised.
Organised, yeah. I think that's a good
pedantic.
word.
I was pedantic. Yeah. That's a better word.
That's the Virgo trait. We're both Virgos as well.
I was pedantic, yeah. And that's something I probably wouldn't do if I was to do it all over again. You know what I mean?
You'd be more relaxed.
A lot more relaxed.
Yeah. But again, the reason why you did that, or, you know,
I had to, because to keep things
in order, but also because at that time you're a different person and you just thought, oh, I have to do it because I have to do it because I don't want to be looked upon as, you know, shame and stuff as well.
No,
maybe
it wasn't even about being looked upon. It's about, if you're an organised person, you get a lot more done.
Yeah, you do. I'm organised, but don't always get everything done.
For children,
it's different.
It can be difficult, right? Because they're kids. Do you know what I mean? And that's something I probably would do differently. Yeah. But they always knew they were loved. They knew I was a very affectionate mother. I mean, oftentimes they'd say to me, "Sing that lullaby your mum used to sing to you," and rub my back, Mum, and very affectionate, always affectionate. Yeah. But I was very pedantic.
But was your mum affectionate?
Yes.
Okay. Whereas my mum, I mean, I'm very affectionate, Dakota. Hugs, kisses. I say I love you, ti amo, multiple times to the point where she's like, "Oh my goodness." But I said to her, even when she's 50 and I'm 100, that's still going to happen.
I know.
They're still going to be our babies regardless. It's absolutely interesting. Motherhood has been interested. It's lifelong.
That's what I mean. I just feel, and it's not for everyone. Like I've got a friend who
definitely not for everyone
who consciously chose not to be, and I respect that. I respect a person that makes a conscious decision not to do something because they don't want to, and that's her decision, and she has every right not to be.
Absolutely,
and it's not for everyone. How many people are having children that they shouldn't have?
Absolutely,
do you
many.
know what I mean? And
I can't take care of them.
It is a lifelong responsibility, and I always say to my kids, you will always be my babies. I will always be here to protect you. And there is nothing that you could do that would stop me from loving you and wanting to protect you. Nothing.
Me too. Nothing at all. And that's why, we are who we are as well. They do feel safe. They feel safe. They feel like they can come to us with things that they, want to discuss or do. Well, I always say to Dakota, I'm always there. So, but for us not having our mothers, we've come a long way.
Well, we're motherless daughters.
We are motherless daughters.
And I remember crying after I had Jonah, the day I had him. I looked at him and I was just overwhelmed with this emotion. And I thought,
just want my mum there.
I want my mum who's going to iron his bed sheets. And God bless my friend at the time who said, I'll do it for you. She took the bed sheets, she ironed them, she put him in his cot and everything. But at that moment, that experience of motherhood, you want to share that with your own mother.
Yeah.
And that wasn't to be. I mean, I know without a doubt she was there with me.
Yeah.
But it was really challenging.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because we look to them.
Yeah.
Mother for advice. Yeah.
Yeah, that was difficult too. That's why I think when my birth with Dakota was like those 45 minutes and so easy, I really feel it was just my mother like holding me the whole way through it. But again, when she couldn't sleep or was crying and just wouldn't go to sleep, all you want to do is like say, where's my mum? I want my mum right now to help me get through this, so I can get some sleep.
Well, Gara said to me, she said, I want you here 3 months before, I want you here for 6 months after, I want you in the room with me.
I said to Dakota, I'm going to be living right next door to you. She's like, oh no.
She says she's already told going to have me there, and we're all going to be there.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that she's ready to have that kind of extended family there for that support, and God willing, that I am able to be
100%, absolutely.
And because I
want the support in the world,
I want to give her that, because I would never want anyone to feel the way I did. But somehow you're given this, even though it can be grueling, you're given this extra strength to keep going.
Yeah,
I don't know how I did it, honestly.
Yeah, I know sometimes
I was just doing it one minute at a time. That's all.
1 second.
1 minute at a time. Because I just couldn't think about anything else.
I know, like, how did we get through it?
I don't know. We got through it with each other, I guess.
We did. We got through it with each
other.
other.
We laughed. We cried.
We stressed.
Yeah.
Lots of therapy.
Lots of therapy.
We shared
lots of, experiences.
100%.
We shared the sadness of not having them. I'll never forget when you told me, do you remember when you called me and I was in the States and you knew your mother was going to pass? And you said, tell me what it's like so I can prepare myself.
I remember that, yes. Oh, I just got shivers.
And I said,
just got shivers.
Tania, there's nothing that I could ever tell you that would prepare you for a life without your own mother, because I'm still grieving her loss.
Yeah.
37 years later.
Yeah.
There's nothing that will ever prepare you for that. You live with that.
Yeah. I don't think we ever, we just learn to live with it. I don't think we ever fully recover. I think there are ebbs and flows of the grief of being motherless daughters.
Yeah.
And yeah, it never goes away. We just learn to live with it.
I mean, that word mum, that's a privilege. When I hear my daughter call me mum or my son call me mum, I haven't been able to say that for 37 years.
I know.
You know? So I didn't have any advice to give you other than I'm just here.
I remember that clearly. Yes, it's like actually feels like yesterday, you know, because nothing prepares you, you know. And then they, you know, like, you know, they pass away, and you're like, okay, so we just get through these, like, you know, these weekly, monthly life experiences, adventures, and then you just think, oh, how badly we want them there.
Yeah.
But we did it, and we are strong, and I think we've come a long way.
Look, absolutely. I believe that we're amazing women, having endured what we endured and come through it. But you always have to live with that. There's a sadness. There's a void that nothing and no one can ever replace or fill.
Yeah. And we just didn't get to experience, like other motherless daughters, that having them there, you know, just like for anything.
Yeah.
For anything, especially like, you know, the birth, when they get married, or their birthdays, or
my wedding, or
your weddings.
Any of that.
We forget these things, you know, birthdays, like milestones, like achievements. You know, we have missed out on that, but we've still managed to get through it all, which is amazing. Yeah, so you know, we're lucky, and our children are lucky. Because like I always say, you and I, we're going to live to 100, right? We're going to live to 100, and that's what we're going to do. And they're going to be like, funny. Gosh, yeah, no, we're living to 100 for sure.
Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, I feel, like I said, I feel blessed. I feel,
and you're an amazing mother, you know.
Thank you, T. So are you. Thank you. You just got to do your best. You just got to let them know you love them. Every single day. I do. Yeah. I do. You know, every single day I tell them how much I love them and how they're a blessing for me.
And if they're listening to this, we love you.
Absolutely.
We love you deeply.
You know, I am so in love with both of you. I will be in love with you until I move on to the next life and beyond and beyond. Yeah. You know, and everything I do for both of you because I want to take care of you and I want to protect you like all mothers do. You know, if you're a good mother, it's in you.
It's in you. It's in your DNA.
It's in your DNA. I mean, you know, we're the ones that have mother guilt. You know, it's in us. It's in us from, you know, it's in us through osmosis. It's in us through our mothers. It's in us from our culture. It's in our psyche. It's not fathers that get father's guilt. It's mothers.
Mothers that get mother's guilt.
Mothers that get shamed for doing things differently, and we've got to stop doing that.
Yeah, I think women need to, you know, like women always should support women regardless, you know.
I know, but that's like a tagline, Tania. I mean, a lot of women don't. You know what I mean? I mean, you know my vice, right?
Yeah.
I read copious amounts of books. I do lots of research for my different businesses. But on my downtime, I'll watch the Beverly Hills Housewife. I'll watch the Sydney Housewives. And I'll tell you, the theme on both those shows at the moment is motherhood.
Is it?
And being like Garcelle Beauvais, who's on the Beverly Hills, sits with her son and he says, you know, I needed you 2 years ago.
I haven't watched
15.
it.
I don't, you know, I don't need your mothering now. And that just broke my heart.
Oh my gosh. Is that her twins?
The twins. That's one of the twins.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, it was really heartbreaking to see that because she's working.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing, you know, you're working to support them and take care of them. And similarly on the Sydney Housewives, they were all talking about the different styles of motherhood, and one woman on there who's not a mother was talking about how she didn't like the style of motherhood that her mother was,
right?
Because her mother was working. And one of them felt very judged because of it, you know, and I understand that too. It's like we can't ever do anything right.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
Yeah.
And
we're just humans really too. You know,
you can only do so much, you know? And I mean, kids are always going to have something to, you know, complain about with their parents and parenting style, right? The child that has a parent at home constantly and wants her to be working. Or the child that's got a working mother wants her at home. And, you know, and my favorite saying is no mother, no one is a prophet in their family.
I love that. You always say that. I love that.
My kids just see me as mum.
As mum.
There's no airs and graces for them. The world can see me as Therese and something different, but my kids just see me as mum. I am their mother, you know, and so I feel like we just have to take it easy with women.
Yeah,
I feel like
definitely
we have to stop being so polarized and black and white, and
that we have to do things a certain way.
Each other be who you want to be.
Yeah, just do your own thing.
I like
what works for you. I
really don't care what style of mother anybody is, because I'm not raising your children.
That's
the
right.
only thing I care about is my own children.
That's right.
That's it.
Right. That's like me, like both you and I, completely different. We're like greatest friends. We are so different, you know, like our styles and everything.
There has never been a time, nor will there ever be a time where I judge you on the way that
Absolutely,
you
and
mother.
me neither. Yeah, everything is
because that's how you choose to do it, and this is how I choose to do it. You know,
and I agree. Like, no mother should be judged for what they do, how they do it, by anyone, even their own, even if they're fortunate to have their mother, you know, like.
And you know what I always say? What you judge today, you become tomorrow.
Absolutely.
You become tomorrow, because the universe has a way of mirroring your judgment back to you.
Yeah.
You know, it really does.
Yeah. Because there are, I mean, let's be honest here. There are mothers out there that are constantly judging other mothers, you know, because they're, you know, like they're in their perfect, you know, or, you know, their, you know, nuclear family, mother, father, you know, brother, sister, you know, and they're like, oh, I've got the two parents. But at the end of the day, you know, they shouldn't judge somebody else, you know, and how they want to raise their kids or whatever it is. But there's a lot of judgment still, I think, you know, secretly, blindly.
I couldn't give a toss what anyone does. You know how I am. You know, I'd rather listen to you and hear about what your next project is than gossip about something. I couldn't give a toss. You know how my mantra is in life.
Absolutely.
You know, and I have zero interest. If you're the type of person that's sitting there and you've got time to gossip, then you and I are never going to get along.
Yeah.
You and I are never, ever going to get along.
But it's interesting because we you know, as mothers, you and I, like like, you know, we talk about our kids, but like what they're doing, what have you.
Yeah.
But we never in our decades and decades of friendship have ever said anything about how we,
because I don't care.
Yeah, that's right. Ever how we raise our children.
Because not that I don't care what you do. Of course I care, because
I
love you.
I completely get what you're saying.
But it's not my business to tell you how to raise your child.
That's right.
Nor to place a judgment on it. I know your daughter's loved. I know how much you love her. I know how much she loves you.
Yeah.
You're Tania.
Yeah.
And I'm Therese. And we do things totally differently. And that's probably why we are friends for almost 40 years.
I know, right?
You know, so I feel like there's just so much judgment out there, you know, and this is probably one of the reasons why I'm not on social media. And one of the things I've always taught my children is, if you have to build your self-worth from social media, then you're going to lose your self-worth in the same way. If your self-worth is built around how many likes you have, then as soon as that diminishes, there goes your self-worth and self-esteem.
That's right.
And this is where I feel like mothers have a lot of responsibility. You know, what happens to these young minds that we're molding every day is what we're modeling for them. If we're modeling inappropriate behavior, then they become inappropriate beings. You know, if you're modeling gossip for your daughter and telling her not to gossip, you can best believe she's going to gossip.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Therese. So do you think now, like in this era right now, you know, because, you know, your psychology background and just all your, you know,
psychotherapy,
that mothering or motherhood now is more difficult than when we were doing it? Like, as in we're still mothers, we're still mothering, but like new mothers, that's the thing, new mothers.
I think that with every generation comes a different set of challenges. With these zillennials comes the challenge.
Up to zillennials.
Well, that's the combination of millennials and the Gen Z. But I think that the challenge they're going to have is that they are constantly on the social media. They are comparing. There's no point in comparing yourself to anybody else, because nobody else is you. Nobody else has walked in your shoes. Nobody else has had the experience you've had the you know, the upbringing that you've had. So there's no comparison. Do you know what I mean? However, that being said, there's a lot of people on social media comparing, look what she does as a mother.
Yeah.
How and so
which we didn't have. We didn't have to deal with that then.
We didn't have to deal with that. You know, we had that one-on-one contact. We didn't have the support networks that they have now, but they have a different set of challenges.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is why my daughter specifically makes a very conscious choice not to post very private information on social media. And she makes a very conscious choice about that, because she says to me, they don't need to know my business.
Absolutely.
The only people that really need to know your business are the
your
people
intimate
that are
circle.
in your intimate circle of people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're really the ones whose opinions matter, because you've given them an opening into your world and they have access to you. All the rest,
it's unnecessary.
It's just noise.
Yeah.
And it's unnecessary, and it's not doing anything conducive to improve the environment. It's not doing anything to improve our world. You know, it's a different set of challenges for them.
Yeah,
you know?
100%. I know.
But I also feel, sorry to cut you off there, but I also feel that with these different set of challenges, they have a lot more resources. And to he whom much is given, much is expected. Right? So there's a lot of movements happening, a lot of revolutions happening all over the world.
There is a lot, many right now.
Including the Me Too revolution. We're in a space where so much change is happening, and we can affect change by doing it in a way that supports these new values and ideologies. So if we're saying that we're embracing all women, then we can't be judging women for being this way or that way.
Absolutely.
If we're saying that we support women, then we can't be an organisation that doesn't hire women, right? If we're saying that we support diversity, we can't be an organisation that doesn't have any diverse ethnicities.
True.
Your ideologies have to match your actions, and your actions have to match your thinking, and this is what it means to be aligned. This is where most people are not aligned. And so if you want to know a person, see how they act.
Absolutely.
Not what they say.
Yeah.
See what they do.
Their actions are.
See what they do. That's the person for you. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you can swing from a chandelier and tell me you're a good person, but you can be eviscerating everybody and maligning people's characters and on social media using it.
But being authentic, you know.
It's having integrity.
Yeah. And a lot of authenticity, you know, not everyone has it, you know.
No.
You know, that's the thing.
Most people don't have it.
Yeah.
Just walk down the street and watch people. Do an exercise of watching people, or watch how they interact, watch what they say, watch what they do. You know, it's everywhere. It's everywhere, you know.
Yes.
And whenever
they're not really held accountable, are they?
No.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, like, there needs to be more accountability.
There's more social change happening that will make people be more accountable, and it needs to happen if we are going to move in a space where we take care of each other.
That's right,
and take care of
judgment.
The world.
Yeah, because
if we don't do that, we'll end up imploding. We'll end up destroying each other.
Yeah,
as we see happening all over the world now.
That's right. Going back to like where people, that's all going back to judging people.
Yeah,
you know, that's the thing.
There's a space of, you're different to me, so there's something wrong with you, and that's not how we need to look at it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
exactly what's going on now.
You're different to me. What can I learn from you?
Absolutely.
What can I learn from you? What I've learned from you, and I always say this to you. What do I say to you every time I leave you?
You always say that.
I say every time I leave you,
I've learned something.
I'm a happy person.
Yeah, and me too.
I'm a happier person.
Yeah,
because you have so much kindness in you.
Oh,
you've always been that way.
Oh, thank you. But you too.
No, I know, but I'm saying what I've learnt from you is that you're happy.
Yeah.
That happiness is infectious. You're not what we call in therapy or in psychology a psychic vampire, where I leave you and I feel totally debilitated and drained. So this is what we need to be conscious of.
That's right.
Good
energy.
Energy is infectious. Energy is everything. Energy is in you. It's in me. It's in the flowers. It's in the trees. It's in the moon and the stars and the sun. Everything's energy.
Yep. Everything is energy.
When you walk into a room, immediately before you see anything, you pick up on energy.
You pick up the energy. Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
If you walk into a funeral home, immediately you walk into energy that is depleted and sad and mourning. If you walk into a wedding and they love each other,
the love,
you're a
it's all
Boolean.
love. That's right.
You're a Boolean. You're happy. You want that.
Yeah.
So it's about being mindful of, it's not just a tagline.
Yeah,
These are not taglines.
Yeah.
This is where I say these terms are being hijacked.
Yes.
Spirituality, manifestations, gratitude. They're all hijacked.
We had that discussion the other
People
time
don't
we
even
caught
know
up,
what they
didn't
meant.
we? Yeah, hijacking. A lot gets hijacked.
And
I love the way you call that
American
hijacking.
popular culture, where they become like taglines. I'm grateful. It's not just a word. It's living in the gratitude. That's right. That I'm in a space today where I open my eyes and I go, thank you, God, for my health. Thank you for my husband. Thank you for his love. Thank you for all my family's happiness, for my friends. And you're actually in it. You're being gracious and you're grateful. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
And it's a daily practice. It's a constant.
You're cultivating it.
Yeah. And you don't actually need to post that because it's not something you need to post.
No.
Because it's a feeling that you should have.
It's who you are as a being.
Every day. Yes. It's like just being you every day, feeling the gratitude.
Yeah.
But you don't have to advertise it.
And this is the difference between someone that, I'm not saying that all people on social media don't have integrity. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah. What I'm saying is that if we're going to use it, we should use it for something positive.
Positive. Absolutely.
Use it to affect change that's going to make people happy, that's going to give people humility, that's going to show people kindness.
And connection.
That's going to show people that they're connected. Yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
We don't need to use it to malign someone. We don't need to use it to put someone down. Yeah. We don't need to use it to threaten someone's life.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
And none of it would be possible without these revolutions that are happening.
Yeah. Like so many of them.
I'm Egyptian, so I'm African. So my children, they're black and they're beautiful. But I've also raised them to have this sense of pride about who they are and to never allow anyone ever. And this is what I mean by we take steps as mothers to teach our children that we will accept nothing but the best. Yes,
absolutely. I always say that to Dakota as well.
I've said,
nothing but the best.
You cannot and will not allow any human being to call you that N-word ever, ever, ever.
Yeah.
And made them very aware of this, you know?
Yep.
You have to.
And because they are mixed as well, like Dakota as well, it's different again, there's a whole different type of thing there.
It was my responsibility as my children grew up. And I'll never forget when Cairo was probably about 3. And you know how I love the sun. I love the sun. I feel invigorated in the sun. And I would sunbake. I was sitting on the trampoline sunbaking and she was sitting next to me and she said, Mummy, why are you white and I'm black? And I said to her, Cairo, you are so beautiful and your skin is so beautiful and chocolate. I wanted that all my life. And that's why I'm sitting in the sun trying to be your color. I want to be like you. And so she was aware of it. She was aware of the difference. But I also made it a point from the time she was very small on all the vision boards that I had is to have representation of African-American women, African-American writers, African-American scholars, African-American everything. So she would have something to look up to because she's looking at me going, I'm different. Of course, now when you look at her, you can see she's my daughter.
Yes, of course. Yes.
She looks like me, obviously.
Yeah, she does.
But as she was growing up, for me, it was important that they had that identification with themselves. Yeah. And they could look up to.
Yeah, look up to their, to their heritage.
Yes. And so books I would buy books on America and American history and taught them about what was going on in their own history. In Egypt. That was my responsibility as a mother. And I took that very seriously.
We do have that responsibility for our children, so they know.
That was my responsibility and I took it very seriously. And I did that, and I'm proud of that. So when my children they embrace anyone and everyone. I know that I instilled that in them, that I'm very proud of, and so we're constantly learning.
Yeah, we learn all the time as mothers, as human beings.
We have to,
because if we don't grow and we don't evolve, we just become stagnant. We don't shift with what's going on. We don't shift with, and then our children, we can't stay connected with our children either, because
That's
their
a
world
very
is
salient point.
their world right now is very different. So we need to still stay connected with them, whether they're just being born now or whether they're like 30 or 40 or our children's age.
I ask Kyra this often if we're in a situation where we're having a disagreement as mother and daughters have. I say, how would you like me to be in this situation? Tell me what your nirvana would be. Tell me how you would like me to handle it. What is the verbiage you'd like me to use? And I do it for her. Because that's how you mirror to her that she's being heard.
I ask Dakota that too sometimes, because like for instance, you'll do something, well, I'll do something and she'll be like, oh no, just let me do it this way, because there's obviously a way that they do it, whereas I might have done it differently, but that's the new way, or that's just adjusting and adapting to that way.
We have to.
We have to stay connected.
We have to, because my relationship with them is the most important relationship that I have with both of them, and I'm going to make mistakes, and I do, and
and we're allowed to make mistakes, right? You know, we're not perfect. Like, we are that imperfectly perfect. We as mothers are allowed to make mistakes. We are human, and and I'm sure that as our children grow, and they are grown, they get it, and sometimes they might forget where they're, we're humans, and they just say, oh, they look at us as we're just mothers, but as they grow older, they see us as another individual as well. We're not just, we also have a life that was outside of being a mother.
But they don't, like Kyra said to me recently when she read my first book,
which was amazing.
Thank you. Sex, Spirit and the Soul of Therapy was the name of that book.
That was a deep book.
And that was my memoir, and, how I moved through my pathological grief after Mum died and, came into womanhood. She said, I've only ever known you as Mum, but I got to know you as a woman. And I said, sweet. Oh, I wish I'd had that experience with my own mother.
Absolutely. That's so sweet.
She said, "Hun, I got to see who you really are."
I'm
like, okay. Is that a good thing? But she was so, she's not an overly affectionate, but she hugged me and she said, "I loved it, Mum. I loved it."
It's interesting.
I think it was really powerful for her to see that, because they, like I said, they
get an insight.
They see you in that role of mum. They don't see you as being separate, as someone who had a life and has feelings has dreams and had experiences and had sadness. They don't see that.
No, they just see us as mum.
And so she got to see that in all its glory, and she loved it. And it bonds you even more. So and it just continues.
We're very lucky.
We are.
We are so lucky.
So blessed.
I'm so blessed. They're funny, they're kind. Mainly, the best thing is
good human beings.
They are
like
good souls.
People say to me, "Oh, they're so beautiful," and I go, "Beauty is as beauty does."
They're just good souls.
They're good human beings. That's what I'm proudest the most of.
And they treat people so well.
Yes.
They constantly treat people well. They're,
and sometimes it's challenging because, my son's as intelligent as he is, he's really, how he's a genius.
A genius he is.
But he's incredibly sensitive. And the sensitivity is a great thing because it means you have empathy for others. It means that you're attuned to so much and your creativity. But it also means I've had to teach him that kindness doesn't mean that we let people take advantage of us.
True.
And we can't let people assume that just because you're kind that you're going to let them do anything. And they're going to, as when he was younger. It's finding that balance. Which can be difficult for boys. Especially with the discourse of patriarchy and how
and
that toxic masculinity.
Correct. Like they're not supposed to be sensitive.
But he is. And that's what makes him an even more amazing human being. That's what makes him so creative. That's what makes him so empathetic. That's what makes him so present with you. But that, I always, for me, because I have that, I'm a very kind person. I always say, if you start to confuse my kindness with stupidity, the joke's on you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, because there's a fine line for me.
There's a boundary. There's a boundary.
Yeah. But also to, I like this saying. I read it recently, and it was on, you know, those name tests on Facebook you can do sometimes, that they do this thing on your name. And
I don't think I've seen
they
them.
ask what your name is, and your name comes out what it means. And it means basically that the saying was, I can be both holy water or hellfire.
I love that.
And what you get from me depends on how you treat me.
Yeah, I love that.
And that is the truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because no one is good all the time. No one is kind all the time.
No.
And if you think you are, you're delusional.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we're human beings. We're so nuanced and we're so multifaceted.
Back
and
to
we're
being
so
perfectly
complex.
perfect.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a deeply empathic person, but I'm definitely not stupid.
Yeah.
No,
definitely not.
And when I'm around my son, he's so funny and silly, and it just makes it so gregarious. He's just adorable. Yeah. So,
you know, we're lucky. We're just lucky. We're blessed. We're lucky.
Yes,
like Dakota, she's hilarious. Like when she said to me, you know, she often says to me, "Oh, you know, you know, you give me high blood pressure." You know, when she, you know, says things like that, but she's funny, you know, and that I'm mean and kind at the same time. Things like I just laugh. I think, oh my gosh, you know, I
never would have said that to my mother.
Mean and kind.
I used to say a lot of stuff behind her back, but never to her. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
is that, you know, you had this fear that you couldn't
ever
tell her what you really thought. Whereas my kids, well, now as adults, when they were younger, obviously there was that boundary.
Yeah, free expression.
Yeah, it wasn't so free when they were younger, but now definitely.
Yeah. And I think she says it to me in a good place. She just laughs when she says it because she's hilarious. But yeah, mean and kind at the same time. Well, that could be me. That could be me. You know.
And these blueberries are so good.
They're so good. So this recipe of yours, this dessert.
There's no recipe. It's literally strawberries, blueberries, and dark chocolate, because I felt like we need a little bit of sweet.
Absolutely. And these strawberries look delicious. And
everything's, you know me with my cooking, everything has to be seasonal. So blueberries are in season, strawberries are in season, mangoes in season.
Yeah. The blueberries are a great antioxidant.
They're beautiful. Yeah. Dark chocolate, I eat it every day. I have to. Everything's in moderation too.
And these are really cute. These little dessert bowls.
They're beautiful little vintage that I picked up recently. Beautiful. I picked up a whole set. So it's the next phase of life.
Absolutely.
You just got to embrace it.
I think so.
You know,
like you said, we're just lucky. You know, I feel lucky just being here right now with you in this moment, experiencing
and reflecting. You know,
absolutely
reflecting on a lifetime that we've had. You know, a lifetime of experiences.
We were so young.
Well, we met because you were dating my ex-boyfriend's
brother. Correct.
And you were 16 and I was 18, and that's how we met.
16. Good Lord.
I just remember your energy. I remember thinking, I really like her.
Yeah, me too. I was like, and then we cultivated our friendship.
Yeah, and then you started being a sponsor for, you know, Bruce's basketball, and
that's right.
The rest is history.
And then we both ended up marrying two former athletes, and then had our children, babies, and now we're here on this new adventure.
You blink and it's just, you know.
That's so true. Like, or when you look at pictures, you know, like, remember I texted you a few pictures a few weeks back.
Where do you get these pictures from?
Just they come up on my phone, or I'm cleaning memories, but also cleaning out, you know, like photo albums, or you know, you have pictures sometimes, just loose pictures.
Yeah, transmitted.
And that was the last one I sent you was from long ago.
I mean, they're just beautiful. They really are beautiful. Here's to our children. Here's to our children being the better versions of us.
Absolutely. Shall we toast salute with our little tea?
Yes.
There we go.
Being the better version of us.
Absolutely. 5,000 time version better than us. They are so incredible.
That's what we want. We want them to be the best that they can be, but much better version, and to have more than anything.
And be smarter than us.
But to have whatever they choose in life. And I'm not talking about material things. I'm talking about whatever they want. I want that for them, you know.
Yeah, me too.
If it's going to help them evolve into better people
and grow.
And grow, yeah.
And our main thing, just for them to be healthy and happy, and to have their soulmate with them, or their twin flame, their person
their person
who's going to have their back forever, really.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. But I know it's interesting. I can't believe they were so little, now they're so big.
I know. But I've loved having you, babe. Thank you so much for
I've
coming.
loved being here.
And come anytime.
Absolutely.
We can talk. I mean, this has been the longest episode I've ever shot.
Oh, so, okay,
yes, which I expected.
Yeah.
But yes.
I love the show. I think it's great. You're doing great things.
Thank
You're letting people know, real life things, experiences. And I think every topic so far, and I know you've got a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And I just love seeing you doing what you love.
Oh, thank you, babe.
Yeah.
And same for you.
Thanks for having me.
I wanted to end with my favourite poem.
Yeah.
So I wanted the poem by Khalil Gibran, because I thought it was, it's like I said, it's always been in my consciousness it informs me as to how I raised my children. And so I wanted to end with this topic. And Khalil Gibran was a philosopher and a poet, or Khalid Gibran, as some people call him. And it's called On Children. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children are living arrows are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite as he bends you with his might, and his arrow may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness, for even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is his stable.
So beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful?
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And I've always said to them that you've come through me and that you've chosen me. So I just love it. It's one of my favorite.
He is your favorite.
He's definitely one of my favorite poets. So we're finishing up with Food for Therapy on this episode of Motherhood. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them for you. You can contact me on foodfortherapyshow@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any topic. I'd love to answer your questions, or if you have a topic you'd like us to acknowledge and discuss here on the show, please let me know. As usual, I wish you the best. Be kind to one another. I'm Marie-Therese Bolden, signing off for Food for Therapy. Ciao, Tania Carbone.
Ciao, Bella.
Thank you for being here, darling.
You're welcome, prego.
Okay, bye for now.
Ciao, ciao.